Hello, and I would like to make another video now to talk to you about the world history assignment called the Ancestry Research paper. Now, while it is about your ancestry, the majority of this paper is focusing on the country you choose that you in some way connect to your ancestry. Now, the direct way to do this is if your mom or dad have relatives that come from another country, preferably outside North America, meaning you shouldn't do Canada or Mexico if you can help it. If you have absolutely a total roadblock and you can only do Canada or Mexico, then so be it. But hopefully you can trace your ancestry back a little further away. The point of that is because our junior year in high school, we're going to study U.S. history, and it's going to go more into depth of Mexico and Canada, and I'd rather you save your studies on that for then. Right now in world history, let's look at another country that's far away and kind of get outside our bubble of America. This assignment, though, is to kind of show me how you write. It's not necessarily to see what a great researcher you are and how perfect your format is yet. So I'm not going to be too scrutinizing on that, but I'm just going to see where you're at in the beginning of the year. And writing in and of itself is such a valuable assignment and activity. It's the most important thing you're going to do in college is write and write and write. So here in World History Honors, the idea is that you're thinking, I'm college bound, I want to go to college, I want to show my stuff, and writing is essential. So anyway, more about this paper. It starts with an introduction. That's where you tell us who you are, your connection to your mother and father and their ancestry, and how you're going to get down to that funneled thesis point where you say, this is the country I'm going to do my paper on. Now, don't do that exactly in those words because that sounds informal. And you don't want to say, in this paper I'm going to talk about, try to avoid that. Hopefully in your freshman year, you learn kind of some of the formal etiquette of how to write without being so conversational. Then in the first two body paragraphs, totally autobiographical. It's your family, your history. Now I realize everyone's family situations are different. Some people were adopted, some people never knew their parents because of other reasons. Maybe they live with their grandparents. Just tell me about your family situation. You don't have to get too detailed here, but what you give me, you will get points on. You will not be docked because I don't like your family story. It's your family story. There's no taking away from that. So I'm very giving on the points there, as long as you do something in a couple paragraphs in the first body section, talking about this is where my mother's background is, this is my father's background is, this is my grandmother's background, whatever it is that your family situation is, you get the points. But then comes the focus of the papers, the next body section, which is body paragraphs on the rubric that you're holding. Looks like that kind of. And it says body paragraphs 3 through 5, and you're getting into the details of the country. This is where you take the research you did about the country and you apply it to what their customs are, their rituals, their religious orientation there in that country mostly. Maybe you talk about their food and what they do for fun and sports and government structure, and maybe a little bit about the history of the country and the background there, but mostly what's going on today in the country. Today. It's not like a history paper about the country. You could turn it into a little bit of that, but I'd prefer to see what's going on in that country today. Then, after you've done a couple paragraphs at least about the country that are hearty, detailed paragraphs, not all, I like this phrase that one of my teachers said to me was all filler, no killer, or all killer, no filler. That's the way it goes. All killer, no filler. So good information that is informative, not just rambling on in, this is really neat, I really like this. You could say that, but then give me the meat too. What do they do? What kind of customs do they have? And lastly, you do a conclusion where you start with a thesis and you funnel out into your takeaway or what you learned or gained from the assignment. After that, you should give me some form of bibliography where you're saying to me, this is where I got those bits of information from, the websites, and I urge you to try to do MLA bibliography format. If you struggle with that, that's okay. I'm not going to dock you too hard on this first paper, but try to do a bibliography where you list for me your resources and the author's names and publication, dates of publications, titles of the articles, etc. Those kinds of things. Do your best on that. Another tip too, if you're totally lost on what country to pick, look at your last name too. That's another fun one. Sometimes your last name has a cool link to a country you had no idea that that's where that name came from. And that's a good way to kind of pick a country that's somewhat connected to you if you're having trouble picking a country. Anyway, good luck to you. Again, this is just a writing assignment to get you writing and get you experiencing a little bit of history and culture in the beginning of the year. And I hope you have fun with it. I think it's a neat one.